integration, waste picker integration guideline, as you spoke about it yesterday, and it was shared yesterday, it's a very important document, especially for municipalities, because it guides municipalities as to how they could go about in trying to integrate waste pickers. Because we believe that the integration, it's important in three instances. Because waste pickers are already in existence. It's people who are already there who derive a livelihood by picking waste or by recovering waste and exchange it for cash. So it's a livelihood that is already in existence. So it's something that we need to support and try and create an enabling environment for waste pickers to thrive. Then the other point that makes integration to be important, it's that we know that the role of waste pickers is to keep the environment clean. And we also believe in zero waste, that waste should not be sent to landfills. Rather, it should go for reprocessing. It should go to recycling and all of that. By so doing, we're saving space at landfills, and we also making sure that the waste pickers work, it's still there. And the last one, it's the climate change mitigation. Once the waste doesn't go to the landfill, we are mitigating the impacts of climate change. Therefore, it's important that we assist municipalities and waste pickers to make sure that integration does take place. And the just transition, when it comes to waste management in South Africa, we believe that it's important that it happens, and it can happen through the vehicle of zero waste. Integration and all of those will lead to zero waste at the end of the day, meaning zero waste going to landfills. So we need to move away from being a throwaway society, but we have to make sure that the resources are recycled, reused, and so on. So I would like to stop there for now. Thanks, Kira.
Thank you, Musa. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to move into the section of today, which I think is one of the most exciting sections, where we get to hear from waste pickers and reclaimers themselves. Because we are juggling load shedding, which we are again today, we decided to pre-record these presentations. So you will watch a video of the presenters speak. However, rest assured they are in the room with you now today and will be able to take questions and answers live after the session. So I'm going to start with the first presentation from Simon Mbata. Simon is heading up SALGA and really provides a fascinating and very detailed case study of what happened in the Vaal Park recycling project that he was part of. And I think it's a lovely introduction just to some of the ways that waste pickers are having to strategize in order to make their projects work. And it goes through very precisely the different steps of these processes. So if you just bear with me, I will share my screen and we will be with Simon shortly.
Yeah, my name is Simon Mbata, working for the South African Waste Pickers Association as the national coordinator. Started working at the landfill from 1998 until 2018, when SALGA employed me as their national coordinator. South African Waste Pickers Association is an organization of men and women who are picking the recyclable material on the waste stream. They either recycle, reuse, repair, and sell the materials to make a living. The main is to make a living, to earn a living. Yeah, when SALGA started engaging government, when the draft for the National Waste Management Strategy, we engaged government, we engaged the private sector. And in 2011, we agreed in our relationship with government and private sector to co-pilot projects that will integrate waste pickers within the waste management system. At that time, there were no models of integrating waste pickers in the waste management system. we had to identify a municipality. We have to make sure that there's a willingness from municipalities, and the Metimaholo municipality was being identified, and through the engagements, the build up to the project, a waste pickup operative was formed, and a stakeholder engagement team was formed where government, private sector, and waste pickers became part of the stakeholders. The main stakeholders were waste pickers in this stakeholder committee, and all stakeholders committed their ongoing support during the preparation and after the launch of the project. And we also have engaged members of community, where community leaders, councillors were brought in, and an awareness campaign within the community was run to raise the awareness so that communities can be alert in terms of the project. The project initiative was to build a separation at source system where waste gets separated from the source. Secondly, it was to build a material recovery facility close to the source where waste will be diverted. And the reason for this, waste pickers are in waste picking to make a living. And building projects that integrate waste pickers also open economic opportunities in waste for waste pickers. And during the process, we identified some economic opportunities in waste management and recycling. The recovery of waste, sorting, processing, manufacturing, transportation, they all have economic value in waste management. So bringing them together and making sure that we develop a system that recognizes the economic value within waste management. And through building the economic value, we have to apply a system, and zero waste system was identified as a system that easily integrates the waste pickers within the waste management. It promotes reduce, it promotes reuse, it promotes recycling, it promotes composting. At the end of the day, within what we believe is waste, there's nothing that is waste. Waste is a resource. So SALGA believed in a zero waste system. Within the slide, everybody can see that our state of landfills, it's full of resources, materials, which were being buried in the landfills. We believed that if separation at source happens, there won't be materials going to the landfill. If we build material recovery facility close to the source, there won't be any materials that are recyclable will end up at the landfill. And these will reduce the amount of waste that we send to the landfill. This will promote a recycling of clean materials, because once materials are sorted into organics and inorganics, it limits contamination of materials and it gives value to the materials. That is why we looked at the economic value of recycling, and we realized that the system of zero waste accommodates a better recycling system where materials are not contaminated or are not sent to the landfill to be recovered at the landfill. And this reduces the number of transport costs if material recoveries like the Valpark Recycling Center built close to the source. We established the Valpark Recycling Center in Valpark. The Valpark suburb is situated 8 kilometers away from the landfill. Most waste that comes from Valpark was used to be sent to the landfill. Since the inception of the project in Valpark, there have been a number of benefits. That is why as SALGA, we are encouraging material recovery facilities to be built close to the source. Number one, as we mentioned in Ballpark, that residents used to take their waste 8 kilometers away. The municipality used to transport waste 8 kilometers away. But since the inception of the material recovery facility close to the source, communities are benefiting. How? They just travel less than a kilometer. Some are traveling less than 2 kilometers just to drop their waste. Before the project was launched in Valpark, municipality used to collect with 8 trucks, compactor trucks on this area. But since the project was launched, we have halved the number of trucks, because presently municipality is using 4 trucks. It will be 5 trucks on the first week of the month, because we will be from buying weeks. So when the material recovery facility is built close to the source, it has a number of benefits to communities who used to send their waste 8 kilometers away, but they are now driving in within less than a kilometer, some within less than 2 kilometers. Again, it reduces the amount of waste that was sent to the landfill. As we mentioned, that trucks have been halved, have been reduced to half the number that used to transport waste to the landfill. Another benefit to the municipality, the time, the working time. They used to collect it at the summer within a day and a half. But since the launch of the project or the inception of the project, they are using a day to collect. So we have saved them even also labor and time to do their work. So in Valpark, because materials are brought there, collected by a cooperative of waste pickers, we recover them, sort them, and bale them. It's clean materials, uncontaminated, and they have more value. That is why at SALGA, we are encouraging material recovery facility based on the benefits of adding value to the recyclable materials, because you get them clean, uncontaminated, and they get better prices at the market. So since the inception, waste pickers are now working in a better environment where they are dealing with clean stuff rather than have to recover within the organic materials mixed with inorganics. So the system works well and it gives clean materials. The issue of collection and disposal, in the past, municipalities used to do collection and disposal of waste at the landfill and bury waste at the landfill. But with material recovery facilities like the Valpark project, we have 2 systems of waste management in Valpark. It's organic materials, which are taken to the garden refuse site. We also have the inorganic materials, which are being taken to the material recovery facilities. Also, it encourages the working towards zero waste by dealing with organics which are not contaminated with the recyclable materials. We have a 2 system of collection where the organic waste is dropped at close to the center and the recyclable waste dropped opposite the organic waste. So it's a system that is working, because even the participation of community members has risen, because they're driving less kilometers, they are working, it's close to their residential area. When waste is generated, somebody can load it in his car and brings it to the center. Organic waste can be diverted to the garden refuse site. This form of collection and disposal, we believe is a way to go. whereby organics are tackled as organics, inorganics are diverted to the material recovery facility, get sorted, gets baled, and sent to the recycling industries. When we established the project in Ballpark, some of the lessons were taken from the projects which were established by government before in terms of waste management and recycling, particularly by BC where waste was dealt at a level of sorting, baling, and selling. Due to the transport costs of selling these materials, it will limit the profit, or it will limit the value, because the chunk of the money will be paid to transport the materials. But at Valpark, we believed that the processing of these materials will add value to these materials. That is why we have embalming machines to compact, and we needed also the crushers, so that transporting a value-added product will increase the earnings of the project, and it gives benefits also. We have seen projects being established, but without value being added, and they end up nowhere. It will be beautiful structure, people will be committed in the beginning, but nobody works for nothing. Nobody works for transport. People have to benefit at the end of the day. That is why the processing of waste becomes a center stage in terms of adding value to the waste that has been recovered. We are encouraging the material recovery facility to have a value-adding system where one or two of the materials can be processed. These are some of the SALGA projects across the country, similar to the Valpark project, but situated in different areas. We have inner city projects, we have landfill-based projects, we have community-based, where material recovery facilities are built close to the source within the residential areas of communities, like in Valpark. So SALGA is promoting women empowerment, and we believed that in the processing sector, or in the processing process of materials, this adds value. We have seen with some projects that have been launched across the country where value is added and the earnings becomes sustainable, and this can sustain also the project. We had an issue in the past where we will all be saying there's a need for transport, but transporting unprocessed material, well, it's too costly, because you pay petrol, pay diesel, you transport, or you buy a truck with $1 million, then you have to transport, put petrol, put insurances, and blah, blah. But if we have a material recovery facility that processes certain products so that they add value to them, this sustain the projects. Looking into the waste management system and working in Valpark, we have realized that there are business opportunities in the waste sector. We have hazardous waste, we have domestic waste, and some of the business opportunities that are available. The transportation of waste, it's another business within the waste sector, where other or some municipalities are sourcing transport through contracts to transport their waste to certain areas, or to where it's managed, or to a landfill. So transportation of waste is another business within within the waste management system. The collection and disposal of waste. Material recovery facility, drop-off centers can be managed as part of collection and disposal of waste. And these contracts can be issued. This is another business opportunity within the waste management systems. The landfill management, where waste is last sent, or where residual waste is sent. Here, there can be contractors, as we have seen in the past, most municipalities outsourcing the management of landfills to private contractors. It's another business opportunity in waste. And we also have a number of products. Some are hazardous, some are not hazardous. But there's a lot when it comes to the benefits of establishing business within the waste management system. Waste, it's not waste until it's wasted. There is no waste. That's why we believe in a zero waste system where if something is not useful to me, somebody can benefit or somebody can see a value on that. That is why we are always saying there's no waste. Waste is in our mind. Waste is what we believed in, but practically, these are products that has value. These are products that have been manufactured, processed. These are products that can be recycled and returned back to the system so that they don't end up on the environment, so that we create jobs, so that we create income for families that are in this sector. Within the waste sector, when we did the Valpark project, we have to find out doors where you knock for the support. Recently, there are a number of opportunities for funding within the sector. We have the levies, which is the plastic levy, we've got the tire levy, we've got the electronics levy, and recently we've been involved with the extended producer responsibility. Those are some forms of funding, but they don't end there. We have environmental related funds. Entities like United Nations Environmental Program. We have United Nations Industrial Development Organizations who are opening opportunities in terms of their funding within the sector. The funds from these institutions coming can be utilized to drive the integration of waste pickers, to drive separation at source, material recovery facilities. These will lead us to a zero waste system. We also have donors who are passionate about the environment, donors who see the benefits of waste pickers within the waste management system, donors who sympathizes with waste pickers, donors who are willing to go an extra mile to make sure that the informal sector is integrated in the formal system. So there are donor funding also within the waste management system. We also have our own government and the private sector in South Africa playing a role in terms of funding existing funding projects that are within the waste sector. So with these opportunities from these entities, government, private sector, donor funding, and environmentally related funds from the United Nations Environmental Program, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, utilizing the levies, we can build a zero waste system that integrates waste pickers within the waste management system. We can build a waste management system that embraces the recovery of material, that embraces the management of organics also, where organics can be managed and create compost, which will open door for another business opportunities, which will open door for another income stream within the sector. Separation at source is the way to go. It helps us reduce the waste that we send to the landfill. It helps us reuse the waste that we send to the landfill. It helps us recycle the waste that we send to the landfill. It helps us compost the waste that we send to the landfill. SALGA believes in zero waste, and practically we are applying some principles of zero waste in some of our projects, like the ballpark project. Thank you.
Simon, thank you so much. It's always just so fascinating listening to you present, and especially the point about adding value to waste through processing. So just a reminder, everyone, that Simon is with us. And so after the next two presentations, I will open up any questions that you might have for him. And just keep in mind that at the end of today's session, we do have small breakaways where you can really ask questions in much smaller groups and try and grapple with some of these complexities with the experts in the room, the waste pickers and reclaimers. Right, I'm just going to quickly call up our next presenter, who is Luyanda Hlatshwayo from the African Reclaimer Organization. And today he is presenting on really some of the very impressive work that Arrow is doing, working with residents. So in 1 second, I shall get his video up.
My name is Luyanda Hlatshwayo. I'm a reclaimer and a member of the African Reclaimers Organization. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to give us a platform to be able to present our findings and some of our expertise that we've been able to accumulate in the past couple of years when it comes to working with residents and mainly on integration. Let's get straight into it. Let's move to the next slide. I started reclaiming in 2011. I had no job. I had to pay bills, and that's how it literally started. And ever since then, it's been a learning curve of people, a learning curve on the work that I do, and being able to respect the work that I do and respect the people that I work with. Straight into what we're going to be talking about, the pilot project. Why did we do a pilot project? I think it was very important for us, the informal sector, to find a way of appearing. I strongly believe that society found us very invisible. We had to do something that had to start showing people who we are, the work that we're doing, how we do our work, and how does our work influence them in their communities. So it was a strategic move, mainly for Arrow and the reclaimers within Arrow, to say, let's find a way where we can find partners that are willing to be able to work, to do the work that we do, to assist us and understand the work that we're doing. And organically, the decision was to really approach the residents. Why residents? They are the start of the value chain for us. That's where we start our work, from their disposing. So it was the source. We had to start organizing the source. Even prior the organization, each and every single reclaimer would have a certain relationship with certain residents who would be able to give them materials and not give them to anyone else. And there would be that connection, that link that comes up. I think that's how we chose Brixton and Auckland Park, because there was already a relationship within the residents and the reclaimers on the ground without any pilot that has started. The champions, we call them champions, people that within the communities who are not reclaimers but understand and fully know the importance of making sure that reclaimers are integrated in their communities. It was very key. Let's move to the next slide. Quickly on the context, I think we'll all read about it. So let's move to the next one to save time. The partners, it was very important for Arrow to find an inclusive pilot where we will have everyone involved. So if we need to have reclaimers are there. We needed to have residents because they are the source of the materials. We had to start finding the owners of the materials that are collected. It was important for us to include each and every person in the value chain, because one way or another, the decisions that they are making would definitely affect us. So we approached different brand owners, we approached different PROs and showed them the interest of saying, we want to start a program where reclaimers can be organized and organize materials through separation at source and educating the residents. Unfortunately, partners like your Wits, your Unilever, they saw the importance of facilitating this process, of taking the informal, proper working system and finding a way of integrating with all the formal businesses, with your residents. So it was very important for these partners to come in and not only just on the brand name, but on the expertise, on the industry. Wits University was very critical. The baseline studies, the assistance with the engagements with other stakeholders. It was very critical because they kind of understood the language of business from your Unilevers and different, and it was very important for them to dilute and explain it down to the reclaimers so that reclaimers can be able to make the proper decisions. So these collaborations not only were they influential or just on the pilot, but they were very influential for reclaimers to be able to be recognized. Unfortunately, municipalities didn't have much of an input. We had informed all the necessary people within our municipality, within the ward, and unfortunately, it was a lot of talk and no action. Strange enough, we had very good relations with the local depot, who fully understood the importance of incorporating the informal system and be able to work with pick it up with a formal system. So they were willing to give it a try. They were willing to give us a platform for us to be able to pilot what we in our heads can think is integration. You know, so we can be able to define what this big word integration is. And they helped us to be able to get the platform. How did they do that? Brixton and Auckland Park had a cooperative that was contracted by City of Johannesburg that was collecting recyclable materials, and they were within their jurisdiction. So Waterfall Depot were the ones that actually, they did not stop, but they spoke to them and they said, let's give the reclaimers an opportunity to be able to do. So being able to give them the platform, opposing giving private companies and avoiding reclaimers from your communities and gatekeeping materials becomes a huge problem, because it has a lot of unintended consequences. One of my colleagues normally says, if you deprive fish water, how are you expecting the fish to live? If you're depriving reclaimers materials and access to materials, how are you expecting people to be able to go around with their work? Let's move to the next slide. We'll quickly go forward. Sorry. These are the evaluation reports and the findings that came in thanks to Wits University and academics who helped us on this. The 38% of residents surveyed said the pilot improved the perception of reclaimers. That was the most important thing for us at the start, because we needed to be able to get recognition. And to be able to get recognition, reclaimers literally had to take off their own balaclava. It may not be a physical balaclava, but a balaclava from society, of trying very hard to be invisible because of perception, because of the stigma. You know, so to have residents change the perceptions about us. It took a lot, you know. Reclaimers had to start getting uniforms. You know, we started looking formal. We're not formal. We looked the part. We looked acceptable. People started removing their balaclavas because now residents are able to come in and ask, what is it that you're collecting? What is it that you're not collecting? So it made a very huge difference there. Quickly to point number 3, awareness, education about reclaimers' work and the livelihoods. One of the biggest problems that separation at source did, that caused it to fail was that there was a lack of education. There was no proper education that was given to the source for them to be able to separate the materials. So a lot of work came in for us to say, we need to start educating them. What is it that we recycle? Why do we recycle it? Why do we come in so early in the morning in your neighborhood to be able to come and collect all these materials? So it was very important for us to indulge and to make it a point that we start educating people about the work that we are doing. Can we move to the next slide, please? It's more of our evaluations. A very nice one that I think people will get time to read them on their own. The second last one, 85% said it improved since the start of the project. There was a lot of cheating problems from residents who are very rebellious, residents who are comfortable with the normal collection system, where even if they put their sanitary materials, they put in diapers, pap and chakalaka, they were comfortable with that, and they did not see the reason why. Some people don't see the reason of separating the materials, they still go through the bin. So it was very important for us to understand that it will grow gradually. One of the highlights that we actually saw is when after we finished the first phase of the pilot, there were no funds to be able to pay the reclaimers the service fee, but because of the relations that were started, reclaimers continued to actually continued with the pilot, even without all the big stakeholders, with all the funding, because of the relations that were created. Residents are able to say, make it a point that you come in before 7 o'clock, I'll have your materials ready. So it started a program that was ongoing, regardless if there's funds or there's no funds, regardless if there's media appearances. It made a huge difference for reclaimers because they were getting a lot of materials at a short space of time. Because it was being separated, and people were starting very good relations with them. Let's move to the next slide, please. It's another part of the evaluation report. The behavior changes takes time. That's the third point. It goes back to the last point I was talking about. It takes time. It needs patience. It needs dedicated reclaimers who are going to be part of it and be able to drive this. We need champion groups from different resident associations. We need councillors. The councillor of Brixton and Auckland Park was very active, and she was there to make it a point that the messaging goes out. You know, it could be the smallest message of saying, glass has no value because it's locked down. Please don't take your glass out. And because of the status that she has within the community, people started listening. I think we need to really make it a point that we emphasize the importance of relations with reclaimers and the rest of the stakeholders. Another important thing that we need to pick up from the evaluation is that even some residents that were not separating materials, reclaimers were still going to the bin and going through to collect recyclables. What does it show? There hasn't been proper education that has been done. A lot of work needs to be put in. But here is a system that is willing to be integrated into communities, but still continue going and scavenging through bins, because a lot of education society doesn't have, and they don't see the value of them being able to separate the materials. So regardless of all the efforts that have been put in, there's still residents that are not doing that separation of materials, but reclaimers are still going the extra mile of being able to go and go through those bins and do the work as they normally would do it. Can I go to the next slide, please? We as the African Reclaimers Organization, we really value the relations, we really value the partnerships. It could be from schools, it could be from resident associations, it could be from business parks. But what is very important is that we need to be able to define what integration is for us. It's a very big word, as I said before. But for us to be able to define what integration means for us is for us to be able to go out and work with people and be able to define and find solutions from the problems that we are facing. Thank you very much.
Leander, thank you so much. Sure, I'm always just so impressed with the work that was done in that pilot and beyond it. And just for reminding us all how important the building of trust and relationships are. And also some of the possibilities that can happen when you do manage to bring stakeholders together and that projects are led by reclaimers themselves in building some solutions. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to our last presenter. And just a reminder that there is a chance for Q&A, so please hold your questions. Luanda is also with us today. And before we leave, we will have even more opportunities to just speak in smaller groups where we can really think through some of what we've seen in the last 2 days together. All right, so it's an absolute pleasure to introduce Maudi Kwena today. Thank you, Maudi, for being here. And she is talking about the project that they run in Paarl. So let me bring up her video.
My name is Maudi Kwena. I'm a waste speaker, a provincial coordinator and communication person for South African Waste Speakers Association. I started the waste speaking after I was retrenched from the company that I was working for, World Vision International. At World Vision, I was doing the child protection and advocacy program, where the recycling was the program that I was used to behave the children. After retrenchment, I decided that I am going to do the recycling to earn some money because I grew the passion of recycle there when I was working with the children. Alabucha is the project that we started with other ladies when we got retrenched. It is located in Paarl under Drakenstein municipality. It is a separation at source project. It consists of 7 workers, 7 males and 5 females. After we mobilized and organized ourselves, we formed a co-op. Our aim is to help in keeping the environment clean and eliminate illegal dumps within our communities and push for zero waste. There are some role players in what we're doing, waste speakers who are doing the awarenesses and the campaigns in the community that sorts the waste, the recyclable material from general waste, the national and local government who support us with infrastructure and collecting the recyclable material, then the local and international partners like UNIDO, GAIAS, and some others, and the value chains, which are the buyback centers that we sell it through. We do have challenges in our work, but we do have some possible solutions that we think it can help. Problems like fluctuating market, which can maybe be solved by knowing who is responsible for the pricing of the commodities, lack of market for some other commodities like Tetra Pak, who are not recyclables, that maybe it can be solved by the producers making sure that they produce the recyclable materials, not the non-recyclables. Other challenge is the small groups, which is minimal production that is required. Now we think that if we can add some members, we'll have more hands to do work and have production. We do have some resources that we have, but we still have some that we need. We have scale that we use to weigh our work, to know the records of what we're selling. We've got a laptop and printing machine to mail and print our works, our documents. But we still have some resources like the trailer, the cages, the PPE, because PPE is the continual needs. Because when we wait, when it's worn out, you need someone or some other else. The material recovery facility and the forklift, which will help to load our work. The capacity building, so that you can know what we're doing and what we want to see happening in future. Alabucha is working with the community, like on the slide in the middle photo. There's Workers World Media Labor Show, where we went at the show telling people about separation at source, why they need to sort their waste. And then on the right side and the left side, that's when we were in Sweden learning about how do they treat their waste so that we can learn from them and they can learn from us. And Sweden is a clean, very clean country. That's where we learn that people can treat their waste in a right way to keep it separated at every time. The integration of waste speakers, we think that waste speakers is already helping municipalities to save the landfill spaces. Then we think the waste speakers need to be recognized as the workers by all government spheres through the integration guidelines of municipalities that is issued for municipality to integrate the waste speakers. Finally, waste speakers do contribute to the value chain, and they need to be recognized as they contribute to the overall economy of the country. Here is when we were signing the pledge with SALGA, South African National Council. It is an entity of the presidency. This day we were signing the pledge. Thank you very much.
Maudi, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure listening to your work. I just think 3 very exciting presentations. And if I could please ask Simon, Luanda, and Maudi to turn their videos on if possible, it would be wonderful to see you. And we can open up for some questions or comments that you have after listening to these 3 very impressive presentations. Thanks, Maudi. Nice to see you. Hi, Simon. So please don't hold back. If you've got something that you'd like to ask directly from any of the presenters, we're happy to take questions. You can just raise your hand, or you can ask in the chat if you'd like me to draw in some of the questions from there too. Everyone's very shy today. Yesterday there were immediate questions.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Hello, Juliet. You're welcome to come in. And then Alison, I see your hand for the second question. Yes, Juliet.
Yeah, my name is Juliet Masango. I'm from Middelburg in Mpumalanga. My question is, I can see I've only managed to see 2 presentations. I came in a bit late, but I just wanted to ask from the two people that just presented not long ago. I hear both of them are speaking about separation at source projects that they're doing, and they are both waste pickers. So I just wanted to find out from my side, in terms of maybe bodies that are around here or structures that are around here. In terms of myself, I actually own a small recycling facility. I've got a baling machine, and I've got only 2 employees that are doing the baling for me. So I buy material from the landfill site, and then I bale it and sell it to guys like Extrupet and those guys. So my question is, or I need advice really more than anything, how can one really implement a similar thing in a town where that is non-existent? I know most of the municipality is currently busy, I think, trying to implement that. But in terms of guidance and advice, and maybe advice and guidance, how can you maybe assist in terms of that? You know, in terms of saying, as an entrepreneur here, what steps do I need to take in order to have a holistic approach, if I can put it like that, where we start from, we do it in a way where we start from separation at source, and we move to being able to bale our stuff, maybe even end up processing the material in future. So how does
Thanks,
one
Juliet.
move back to the cycle? Yeah, thanks.
No, thanks very much. I'm going to hand over to Simon and to Madi. It looks like, unfortunately, we've lost Luanda. And just to let you know that what we can do at a later stage is certainly Simon's presentation went through, I think, all the different stages of that. So if you would like to have a look at that at a later stage, we could make a plan for that. But Simon and Madi, would you like to respond to that? And then I'll come to Alison's question.
Okay, let me take the first as a first respondent. For me, to my sister there, I would like to say that the system is holding us back. As SALGA, we believed that waste pickers should be integrated in the value chain. And we have entrepreneurs, we normally call them middlemen. We have seen in the space right now, new people coming in. Like my sister is saying, he's having his facilities and he's been buying from the landfill. The other big challenge that we have realized recently in terms of investing only in buying, baling, and selling is that you are competing with a lot of businesses. We have seen a lot of competition coming in. And the old established businesses in this sector who used to collect or buy from the landfills, normally they understand the industry. When you come, they will be underpaying. And you yourself, you'll see yourself as somebody who will lead them to Canaan, maybe to greener pastures by increasing a little bit and say, no, he's been underpaying, let me pay them better. But remember, they've been in the business for quite some time. They can run you down because after 2 months you've been established and thinking that you've got them, people who are supporting you, they will increase the prices. The issue is the fluctuation of prices. As one of the presenters mentioned, that prices are fluctuating. We don't know who exactly puts the price of materials, because some old established businesses are running new people down by buying without expecting any profit. For 6 months, they can run you down without buying without taking any profit. But my advice to my sister, we are always saying as SALGA, we need also, when we talk of the holistic integration, we need also to transform the sector. As my sister is from the disadvantaged communities, we know that there are government support, there are private sector support, there are donor supports. If there's a plan, but I will advise her to focus more on value adding or manufacturing. Because if you buy and sell, you'll be competing with the old established. They'll run you down because they can run for 6 months without profit, increasing the prices, and nobody will sell to you because people who are collecting, they are controlled by the prices. If the price is higher, no loyalty. Thanks.
No, that's great advice. Thank you. Really important. Madi, is there anything you want to add? And I know Luanda is not on, but there's many other Arrow members here, so feel free to, if you'd like to take any of the questions.
Okay, Kira, Simon said it all. I can just add what I would say. My sister needs to, Juliet needs to make sure that they get organized they work together and make sure that they need support of municipality. They work hand in hand with municipality, because fortunately now we've got the waste speaker guideline that guides municipality to integrate the waste speakers. Now, if they work together with municipality, at least they can see the way, they can see where they're going. But to me, when she talks, it's like she is a buyback center. Unfortunately, I don't know information of how buyback centers are working. But on the point of waste pickers, people who are picking, sort, and sell, if they are organized and working together with municipality, that can be good.
Thank you, Madi. Thank you very much. Alison, would you like to come in? And feel free to please turn your video on when you're asking questions. It's always nice to see other faces in the room too.
I'll take off the intelligent glasses. Thank you so much, Simon, Layanda, Maddie, for your very interesting presentations. I always enjoy hearing about these pilots and dreaming about how we can do something like this in Cape Town as well. And we just need to organize it right. My question is, and I'm very happy that you spoke about the competition, because that is a big question that goes around in our heads. You know, how do we make sure everyone has a place in the value chain, which is quite an interesting question, and nobody is undercut or abused in that way in the value chain. But my question is, I just wanted to find out how SALGA and ARROW work together, or whether you have some kind of agreement as to if there are specific areas that SALGA works and concentrates more on and ARROW in other areas, or how does it work if a municipality is coming and wanting to speak to SALGA and ARROW? How do we know who to partner with for which type of things? Is there some kind of arrangement between you guys, or what's the story? That's my question. Thanks.
Thanks, Alison. Simon, I'll let you come in, and then we could have a response from ARROW as well, please.
Okay, thanks a lot for the two questions. Firstly, the issue of competitions, as SALGA, we are saying it's impacting on the environment, because if materials cannot be well priced, they end up on the environment. We always say, if government, because government is putting money through municipalities, private sector is putting money, we should agree to say that we need standard price. For an example, in Cape Town, if a price of a PET bottle is R2, why not all of Cape Town, we agree to say that R2, because the nearer you are, anybody can reach you out. And this will create fair competition. But you'll find in this sector, somebody is just 200 meters away from you. He's buying the product with a different price. So you ask yourself, how come? These two guys are just 200 meters apart, but this one is buying with R2, this one is buying with R2.50. So if government can come in, we know that issues related to the Competition Commission in terms of regulating the prices might be a challenge, but standardizing them could solve the problem and will eliminate a lot of challenges. Thanks. But in terms of ARROW, SALGA works well with ARROW, is our sister organization. We all lobbied funds to create ARROW. We understand that there are cities with a number of people, and there will be big structures that operate there. That's our relationship with ARROW. Thanks.
Thank you, Simon. Madi, you want to come in as well on this?
Okay. I'll answer on the second question of Alison when she says, how could they communicate with SALGA or ARROW in provinces? We do have provincial coordinators in all provinces that you can talk to if you want to connect to SALGA or ARROW. Those people are there to make sure that the information flow to the local, and make sure that all the waste speakers are together. And people who want to know about waste picking, integration, and all those things that we're doing in this waste sector. Those people are there to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Madi. I would invite anyone from Arrow to also come in if you'd like to respond to Alison's question. Eva, I know you here, but someone else might also want to. Or Melanie, do you want to suggest maybe someone who might want to respond from Arrow? Because I know we lost Luanda, I think, unfortunately. Okay, well, we can come back to that, but I think, Alison, you did get some answers to the question. There's been a question posted in the chat. Oh, sorry, Eva. I see you say you're unable to hear properly. No problem. Thank you. All right, Mark, I see your hand, so I'll let you come in, and then I'm going to take the final question from Vincent in the chat. Mark, please come in. Mark, you're not unmuted yet. I'm not sure if you are speaking.
Apologies.
Okay,
Can you
sure.
hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
I
you.
wanted to know what happens in the middleman kind of section. Like people collect from my door or waste bins in town, etc. And then they go somewhere. So what's the middleman getting out of this all? And are we trying to factor in that the middleman, man, woman, as the case may be, is incorporated into the analysis and is not just exploitative? Thank you.
Thanks. Very good question. Okay, so the question is around the, I'm presuming, the buyback centers and the middlemen or women, and how do waste pickers and reclaimers ensure that they aren't being exploited through that process of selling into the markets? I'm going to open that, Simon.
Okay, thanks, Kira. For us, we don't have a problem with the middlemen, as they've been sustaining the industry for quite some time. But there are issues. One, how do we work with middlemen to make sure that prices are put in advance before waste pickers could come to the selling point to know? Normally, there's no fair practices of business, and we know even in the past. And they really know that we are the backbone of recycling. Instead of working with the backbone of recycling, they rely too much working with the end users. How? Most of the investments, even the middlemen, they are unable to fund a cooperative of waste pickers that sells to them with a baling machine. They rather hire it to the cooperative, or some will demand a certain amount. Even issues of transport, there's no fairness in terms of when the transport cost comes in. Because when petrol goes up, they just drop the prices the next day without communicating with the people they are selling to. For us, we always say they don't recognize actually the importance of working with the waste pickers. They rather focus on what they get from the waste pickers. Sometimes there are certain materials, you know them buying them. When you go to the place, they will tell you we are no more buying them. They focus on materials that have value. And when value dropped to some materials, they don't even say, they don't even buy them anymore. So it's about the relationship. It's high time now the buyback center or the middleman also recognizes, as the end users are now recognizing, that waste pickers are the backbone of recycling. They are the ones who are supplying the bulk of materials in this sector. So they have to be recognized that role. So they still there having that top-down approach. Even when prices are changing, they must engage waste pickers. Thanks.
Thanks, Simon. I'm going to open that question to all of the reclaimers and waste pickers in the room. Madi, I see you've unmuted. Please do come in if you'd like to respond to that issue about middlemen.
Yes, Kira. Mark talked about seeing some people on his doorway collecting the waste. Now, I wanted to chip in that because normally we used to advise our community to make sure that you've got the relationship with the waste pickers who are working on your street, so that you make sure that one day there's a criminal that comes on your doorway in the name of waste pickers. We need to make sure that we know the waste pickers that we're working with, we know the buyback centers that we're working with. Sometimes you will find out that someone who's coming to collect the waste at your doorway is an employee who is working for a buyback center, or someone who's coming on your doorway is a waste picker that is working individually. But the main important thing here is make sure that you know these people who are working here, because sometimes we get the cases where you'll find out that a community member was robbed because that person thought is a waste picker who come in to collect the waste on his doorway, but it's not. Now, we normally advise our community to make sure that we know our waste pickers, we know people who are working with. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Madi. And just goes back to Leander's point too about the importance of building relationships in these processes. Lewis, I saw your hand. Please do come in and feel free to turn your video on if you can too.
Okay, hi, I'm Louis Mahlangu from the African Reclaimers Organization. I would like to comment on the second question that was raised and no one commented from Aaron. I think as a Reclaimers Organization, we need to work together in order to ensure that we are able to keep the mandate of our constituencies like Aro and Sauba. They need to work together in order to settle all the challenges that we are encountering on a daily basis. I think it will be important and vital for this organization to work together. I mean, I think we could achieve a lot of goals if we work together and ensure that whatever we do is in the interest of our constituents. Okay, thanks very much.
No, thanks, Lewis. It's so important. I mean, these are complex challenges, and the more people who work in solidarity, led by all the organizations of reclaimers and waste pickers, the better. There's two questions that came up in the chat, and then I think I'd like to break us into the smaller groups, because that's also important, and sometimes it's nicer to have those more intimate conversations. So I'm going to raise them. And then perhaps what we can do is that if anyone has answers to these in the smaller groups, you could perhaps share them. And when we come back into plenary, we can capture some of those answers. So the first one was by Vincent, and he was asking whether any of the ICT-enabled waste management platforms has improved the regularization and integration of waste reclaimers. And you'll see in the chat, he's offering some of the examples of these apps, these online apps. So if anyone has any responses, you're welcome to write in the chat now. And then Mark Kalana has also asked an interesting question around the language. So as South Africans, he's saying, what term is preferable? Do people prefer being called reclaimers or waste pickers, or is it something that you feel comfortable with people working across these terms? Because obviously in the guidelines, there's a use of the term, but Arrow proudly uses reclaimers. So Mark, it's an important question. And that's something that if there's time at the end in the plenary, we can raise again. All right, so what I'm going to ask us to do, and I just want to check with the team who's working in the background. Asipila, you say we are already able to go into breakout groups, is that correct? I don't need to ask people to change names?
Yes, we're ready.
Fantastic, you are a star. All right, So we're going to go into smaller groups. There'll be a facilitator and a scribe. So just feel free to have a conversation. What we will commit to do as the partnership team who are hosting this is afterwards, if you just give us a few days, we'll put together a short report where some of these thoughts and comments and questions have been captured. So you'll have a chance to see the discussions that were happening in the different groups. But whilst you're in there, please just feel free to have an open conversation. You don't need to be worried about capturing or typing anything. Those will be shared later. And there are facilitators who are going to ask 3 questions of you. So just to start thinking about what are some of the exciting ideas that have stood out from you in these presentations, and do they spark any further ideas around what might happen in your municipality or in your work around waste and around integration? And also what challenges might arise in thinking through new possibilities and projects? And then we will ask, please, for the experts in those breakaway rooms, the waste pickers and reclaimers themselves, perhaps they've got some advice for people in the room around the challenges or just what the next steps might be towards a more integrated approach. All right, everyone, enjoy your time in the breakaway. It's only 20 minutes, and then we will come back and have a short closing. So we will finish just before 3, which was the planned time. Right, enjoy the discussions. Asipile and Tanya, if you can break us away, that would be great. And just for everyone, you will get a little box asking you to join a breakaway group. Please do press join in order to enter it.
Hi everyone. We are currently in breakaway rooms right now. So I'm just going to assign you to the breakaway rooms. Thanks. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, Juliet. Hi, Juliet.
Hi everyone, welcome back into the main room. We'll just wait a bit so everyone's here. Hi Asapile.
Hello.
Asapile, can you get a sense of when everyone is mostly back?
Okay. So far we're doing okay.
I think there's about 50 or so of us.
Yeah, but they're coming back slowly.
Okay,
It's 40 and it's 50 or so of us.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm not sure what it was like in your group, but we certainly needed the more time than the 20 we had allocated. So we added another 10, and we probably could have continued even more. Some of the conversations were just fascinating. And I'm sorry because, you know, a 2-hour session feels like long, and then sometimes it feels like too short. And today it feels a bit too short. But just a reminder that what the partners will do, we will ensure that we give some of this feedback that's been captured so you get a sense of the conversations that were in the room. And we will put together just a little report that hopefully is useful for you and helps you think through some of these next steps. And of course, we are always very much open to ideas and to talking more as we go. And Melanie, maybe just for 1 minute, do you want to talk about the UNIDO project? Because I think that is nice just to know that there is some support out there and there is some thought about how to provide some of this capacity building and ideas in this area.
Great, thank you so much, Kira. And first of all, I just really want to thank all of the reclaimers and waste pickers who have presented over the past 2 days. It has been really fantastic. And I think this workshop has really once again demonstrated what we already know, which is that waste pickers are the experts on these issues, and that there is so much value in having these kinds of opportunities for us who are not doing that work to be learning from you. So thank you so much for your generosity and your patience, and for sharing the fantastic ideas that you have. And also what this has really shown is that the guideline is right in saying that we need to be having dialogue and engaging each other and working together. So I think that for me, we have the UNIDO project, as I mentioned on the first day. In the project that is funded by UNIDO and the government of Japan, we are developing training and capacity building materials, which, you know, help to explain, you know, what is waste picker integration, how to approach it, and that take municipalities working together with waste pickers through the 7 steps to develop a waste picker integration plan. And so we will be, you know, being able to release those materials and doing training of trainers next year. But another key component of our project is the webinar series that we are doing. We've had a number of webinars already, focusing specifically on women, on landfill reclaimers, etc., and landfill closure. And now this collaborative webinar is part of that. And I think that as much as the materials and the formal workshops are important, it's these kinds of spaces that are really of so much value to us, because we can organically hear from municipal representatives and from waste pickers what is most important and learn from each other. And so I think this is something we will talk to our other partners about, talk to them about, and see what we can be doing to facilitate more of these discussions. But please, we will be adding you to the distribution list for the broader UNIDO program. And we will invite you to the other activities. But I think that those of you participating, please feel free to contact myself, you know, Kira from DUT and her colleagues, and Musa from groundWork, and Bala from SALGA, with ideas, with questions, and to let us know what would be most useful for you as we move forward, because that's really what our work is about, is facilitating these engagements. Thank you, Kira.
Thank you, Melanie. And then just to close, you know, I just want to give a big thanks to Asipile Kanili. Can you put your camera on? I'm sorry to do this to you, Asipile, but you know, there's always people working in the background who do all this hard work, and we forget to thank them. So thank you so much. And of course, to Tanya and to Dong and Tobeko and Princess, who also scribing today and have been big help in getting this to work as well as it did. So thank you so much to all of you. So I'm going to end just with something that Simon Mbata told us today that struck me. He said, waste is not waste until it is wasted. So today for me really got me thinking about how we can stop wasting and how to do this in inclusive and just ways with reclaimers and waste pickers. So we look forward to continue these conversations. We will be in touch via email again. And once more, thank you so much to all of the presenters, and thank you to all of you for being here and being part of the conversations. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, Kira.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Simon.
Thanks, Kira.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, colleagues.
Cheers,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, Kira. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Madi.
Yeah, thanks. Even if the time was short.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye. Bye, Nasi.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone.
Adios.
Adios.
Yeah.